Welcome back to the Union County Foundation podcast. We're here today with Michael Rogers, who's our current board president, and he's going to share with us about his history with the foundation and his current role as the president. Welcome, Michael.
Yep, thanks for having me. You guys just want me to start from the top when I
Tell us a little bit about yourself first.
Okay.
Yeah.
Michael Rogers, as you guys know, proud resident of Union County. I've got a wife, Kayla Rogers, and two daughters, Emerson and Hazel Rogers. They are going into second year of preschool.
And they're adorable, by the way.
Yes, thank you. Get it from their mom.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I've lived here most of my life. Started actually, I guess, on the other side of the tracks in College Corner, the Ohio side. But yeah, College Corner Union School, Union County Middle School, Union County High School. Graduated, went to Indiana University, and I've worked for kind of the same company since I graduated. We got acquired, but started in Indianapolis, then moved to Charlotte, and then once we started having kids, we always knew we wanted to be back in Union County. So we moved back here, and it's been about 6 years, going on 7 years, that we've been back, and it's been great.
Awesome.
Yep.
We're glad you guys came back.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
absolutely.
you.
Did you live in Indy at all, or?
Yeah. We lived in Carmel for a few years.
Yeah.
And then, just moved to Charlotte. Really liked both areas, but I don't know.
There's no place like home.
Yeah,
That's
not really built for the city.
Yeah.
So you mentioned, or Olivia mentioned, that you're our current board president. If you could give us a little bit of history about your relationship with the foundation, kind of where it all started, and kind of how you got to where you are now.
Yeah, so went to high school here in Union County. And my first interaction with the foundation, where I found out that they were the foundation.
That we existed.
Yeah, probably the summer going into my senior year. I was selected to do the IHSA role model program. Okay. And so they made me feel really important. I went down to Indy and did a photo shoot, and then my baseball picture was put on some posters, but it was sponsored by I think the Tobacco Coalition here in town. But it was facilitated through Donka, who was the executive director at the time. So I worked with Donka. Really, she coordinated all of that, and then for like Play in the Park and then a couple other things we met, and I went and talked to the kids, passed out some posters with Donka. But then scholarships, right? As a senior, the foundation facilitates most of the scholarships that the high school gets out, maybe all of them, I'm not sure.
Majority.
Safe to say a majority of them.
Yep.
And so, if you want to apply for scholarships, you get to know the foundation. And so I applied for the Lilly Scholarship, which is a big one here for most counties in Indiana. And then the Casey Caldwell Mental Attitude Scholarship. I was fortunate enough, right, one, to receive the Lilly Scholarship. Two, it was...
Downplay that like it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
Just the Lilly Scholarship.
They gave out two when I was in school. The stars aligned, and probably the biggest swindle I've ever pulled off, convincing a group of people that I deserved it. But yeah, so they did it earlier. When I was in school, it was done in the fall. So you did your interviews. It was during wrestling season. But I say that because most of the scholarship applications didn't open up until the next semester, next trimester.
Yeah, because we had trimesters
But
then.
yeah, by that point, I knew that I was awarded the Lilly Scholarship, and so the amount of scholarships that I needed to apply for at that point was a lot less. I'll say that it was me being selfless, but it was probably me being a little bit lazy. And I've got this scholarship. Why should I apply for other ones? I don't want to take opportunity away. But I knew the folks who had applied for the Casey Caldwell. They were in a similar position to me. Felt like I wasn't taking anything away by applying for that one, and was awarded that one as well.
So receiving the Lilly, what did that mean to you? How did that? Tell us that. How did
What's the impact?
What was the impact? Thank you.
I tried. So I've been on. I started with the foundation first by being on the Lilly board that we have here, the committee that helps select, which is way more nerve-wracking being on the selection side rather than being selected.
Really?
Yeah, it's a big decision, right? And if I'm trying to sell myself, that's one thing, but if I don't want to feel like I made the wrong decision or I helped make the wrong decision.
Sure. It's a big deal.
But yeah, I tell the winners now that it's going to be hard for them to appreciate. And I say that because I never had to pay my tuition at college, right? So it's, there's this great big thing that I've told, right? How are you going to pay for college? Are you saving up? What are you going to do to pay off your student loans?
Yeah.
And then I received a scholarship where it was like, you get a scholarship to do that. But over time, right, student loan debt is a pretty big crisis that we're facing. And so thankfully, I haven't had to see it. But it's big. It makes being on the other side pretty nerve-wracking because it is such a life-changing opportunity.
Well, and looking back at it now with an adult perspective, you just see it from a totally different view. So I think at the time when you're in high school, you're only 18, you just don't, it is a big deal and you know that, but when you become an adult with a family and kids and you have to pay all the bills and put a roof over everybody's head, you're like, wow, that was such a blessing.
And I think thinking about it now, right, we're trying these information sessions to help current students understand what the opportunity is, how they can best set themselves up to tell their best story so that, they're not missing out of it because, they focused on making sure part one, where that's not really part of the criteria, but really letting them know how you should tell your story. But yeah, as a high school senior, it became a task, right? Where, thankfully on the other side of it, it's really easy to talk about now, but it was, I remember taking one day off of school and just like hammering through the application, writing the essays. And now as an adult, and then reviewing, the applications that come in now, it's like, I was really fortunate. I don't know how I was chosen, like trying to think back, right, 15 years, how would I stack up against the folks that are going now? And I don't know, probably not very well. Luckily, there were 2 at the time. But no, I think having that, right, the time to reflect on it, being on the selection committee, which I'm no longer on, right? This will be the first year in however many years that I'm not on it. But it was really because, right, we've got the students, we've got the opportunity to give it out to the students. And at the end of each cycle, it's, how do we feel our selection process is, right? Is there anything that we can improve on? And we've made improvements every year, right? There's feedback. We used to do the strengths and weakness essay. If you're planning on applying, that's not on there anymore. And the reason is you can give anyone, an adult, a seasoned professional, CEOs, they're not going to answer that question very well.
Right.
Everybody's weakness, actually, it's a strength. And so after a year or 2 of reading what was essentially the same essay that we didn't feel like was really,
No one was cleaning out.
it wasn't helping us make the decision. We decided, right, like that's not a good part of the application. It's not helping the committee make what they think is the best selection. It's just us reading that essay over and over again. Right, so we got rid of that, right? Let's give them a few topics. Let's let them pick a topic that they think will help tell their story the best, and then we're putting them again in the driver's seat. But now I know that I'm not sure who exactly did the information sessions or what other ones are planned. But you guys went to the high school to, let's bribe them with pizza, whatever it is. Let's get as many people that are interested in this opportunity to come learn about it, because we want people to hear about it, right? If you're involved in activities, if you're, doing your schoolwork, there's no limitations on who can apply, right? We want everybody to apply. We want everybody to tell their story. And we want to make sure that they understand the best way to tell their story. So I know later on this summer, we're trying to get back to it, but we used to do, the people of Union County, I think specifically it was like Jason Ray and Karen Briggs, but they would put on, I don't know if class is the right word for it, but it was
like a workshop.
hey, come, we're going to have a workshop, and it's specifically geared towards applying and interviewing. And I want to get back to that, right? So
That would be great.
here's the selection committee. How could I be more helpful here? Reading through these applications, I feel like I'm being really judgy, but instead, maybe I could help before they apply for them, before they go to the interviews.
Well, and it's a two-part process. Yeah. These kids have 2 opportunities through the whole process. I feel like they can shine on paper, and then they can shine in an interview.
Yep.
And then those 2 combined is their score. So if you can help them with their interview part, that's crucial, in my opinion.
Right, the interview part too, because like you said, there are 2 parts, right? The written portion, which is completely anonymous. Right. We do a great job, and it's a small town, small county. So I'm sure that some of the committee, I think this might be who that is based on some of their stories, but like we're going down to the pronouns, right? You try to hide, is this a boy or is this a girl, so that you take as much bias out of it as you can, which I appreciate, right? Again, on that selection committee, am I making the right decision? Am I making it for the right reasons? Take all of the variables out of the way, make it as black and white as possible. But for the interview part, right, nobody's wearing a mask. Right. So we know at that point, we don't know which applications are with which interviewer, but we know that these are the top, however many we've decided to push to the second round, and one of those applications were there. And so another thing that I like that we've done, it kind of came out of COVID, but it was the Lilly Shuffle, where we bring in the applicants, and it's just the applicants, not their parents. Right. And that came from some feedback, right? How did you like this? This is how we've done it in the past. But when I was applying, it was a dinner, and you brought your parents, and it was really stressful because you're like constantly looking over your shoulder, and there's the parents that are like, go talk to that person. You need to do this, and it feels like with the Lilly Shuffle, it's more of a, we do kind of speed dating, icebreakers, but it's really to make the kids feel comfortable. We try to explain to them this is not part of the interview process. We're not grading you here. We want you to feel comfortable when you come in for your interview. And we've gotten some really good feedback there, right? Because
and a lot of times that's the students' first opportunity to interview is when they come interview with you. They may not have ever interviewed with anyone before, so having that shuffle first and like getting them to be a little more comfortable with talking to the people on the committee, I think that does make a big difference for them.
Yep. Yeah, and we try to give them a heads up, right? We're not going to give you the questions that we ask. We want it to be fair for everybody. There's no prep time. I'm sure that you could go out, what is some standard interview prep you could do. A workshop that we hope to have, but it's, we're selecting the questions the day of the interviews so that there's no way that they're leaked. Nobody's getting a heads up, but we try to tell them in that shuffle, right? We don't want you to come in and think that like, well, that person put their elbows on the table or their tie was a little bit to the right. Right? It's we want to get to know you here so that when you get here on Saturday, it's again another opportunity for you to tell your story, so that we know, right? But yeah, I've got a lot of thoughts there, right? Making sure that you're telling us everything that you do, even if you think it's little, trying to find a way to get it on your application so that we know about it. I know in the past we've had some 4-H kids that have come through and just like completely downplayed their 4-H experience. And it's, we get through it and it's like, somebody's like, well, what about their 4-H experience? They didn't mention it, And so it's things like that where you want them to know, right? Like you've got this huge commitment that is a lot of responsibility that does show some of the character that you have, some of your positive attributes, the reasons that you would be successful in college and after college. Right. And that's the stuff that we want to see, right? That's what the Lilly Scholarship is for, is trying to identify successful students so that they can go on and be successful hopefully within Indiana.
Yeah.
And understanding that the time that with 4-H, the time they put in, that's valuable time, and that's and it's not something to be downplayed. Maybe your mom made you be in 4-H for 10 years, but you spent the 10 years and you did the work and you showed up every day or.
And yeah, right. It can all start as that, right? I don't need to know why you joined 4-H. I don't need to know that you hated it for 3 years. Yeah. But what did you learn from it, right? Because that's what we're looking for. We're looking for people who can take an experience and learn from it and be better because of it.
And it's a merit-based award too. So, but people always assume that merit comes from, well, what sports did you play or how good were your grades? But there's merit and value in things you do outside of school too that can really show your character and why you would make a great choice.
And that's right. Another reason why it's not selected by one person, right? We've got a committee, and it's a committee who have different involvement throughout the community. And I know the first couple years that I did it, that was great because specifically with 4-H, right? I see that there's, this award or this many years of involvement, or they did that program, and I'm kind of in the dark about it. But one of the ladies who is part of the committee is very involved in 4-H, and it, she's right there, and I could ask her, and so it's, okay, so you're doing this, which actually is this involvement. You do learn this thing. It is a pretty big deal. And it's never going to be apples to apples, unfortunately, but when you have that diversity, right, and it's very helpful.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit. Let's kind of, now that you've received the Lilly and you live back here and you decided to join our board.
Yes.
So kind of you tell us a little bit about your role there and just kind of what that looks like, what I guess it means to you to come back and be on the board now after receiving the Lilly and,
So my first involvement when getting back again was with Donka, right? Full circle. First person I met, the first person to bring me back in, but it wasn't for the board. It was for being a part of the selection committee for the Lilly, and they liked that I was a previous recipient. Having that, and it for me, it was during COVID. Right, so we moved back home, and the idea was we'll move back home where we can be very involved in the community. That's something that we both really wanted to do. And so we got back, and it's, we're here for a few months, and we go into lockdown, and everybody gets really comfortable hanging out in their living room and
where's the community?
Doing the grocery pickup, and I felt like I kind of got stuck in my house. I work remotely, and so there's all of this online interaction, but I'm living in a small community, hunkered in my living room for 12 hours a day. And so when Donka reached out to see if I was interested, it was great because it was like, all right, yeah, somebody's reaching out. There's my opportunity. It's something that I'd like to do, and then I did it the first time, and I was like, oh my gosh, what have I agreed to do? This is a lot of pressure. But it was great, right? So it was, I think I did that once, maybe twice, and then it was, hey, you're involved in this. Would you like to be a part of the board? And kind of, what is that? And I met, I had coffee, and just kind of explained this is what it is. And I wanted to make sure that I wasn't just going to be on the board to be on the board, right? This is someone who helps out once a year. We're going to put him on our board, and he doesn't know anything, and he's just going to sit there and be a vote. And so getting to know, right, what is the foundation involved in, more about it, was great. And the way that it was presented to me is we ask for this, I think it's at least 3-year commitment, because that first year is exactly what you're describing, right? You don't really know what's going on. You don't know all of the pieces. And I think what makes our foundation unique is that, you can go out and, ask any AI or Google, whatever it is, what does a local foundation do? And you get this little picture of what they facilitate. And then, come here, right? Happy to answer any questions, but you ask, what does the Union County Foundation do? And it's really what does the community need, right? Where is there a gap? So we're doing all these things that a traditional foundation is doing, but then there's all these other things that we're doing to where it's not that the community can't do it, but it's maybe there needs to be some direction, or we don't have the bandwidth to do it. And it's the foundation, right? What we strive for is seeing the community succeed. And so it's picking up some of the pieces and help making sure that they're moving forward and we're not missing out on opportunities.
That's right.
And we're able to do that because of awesome board members like yourself that encourage us to, hey, go for that. If there's something that needs to be done, don't put yourself in a little box because we're a community foundation. If we're capable of handling the situation, if we're capable of helping out in any capacity or what capacity, go for it. And that's, I think for us, I think that's something that's super awesome. We're glad to have you. We're glad to have the other board members that support us and stand behind us with all of our crazy ideas.
Right.
Yeah, and I don't want to make it sound like the Union County Foundation is this Superman and we're saving Union County, because Union County is great. It's not just the foundation. Union County is doing a lot of great things. There's a lot of different pieces.
There's a lot of
And
good organizations.
Yes.
We just kind of find our fit or where we think, hey, there's opportunity there, and we move for it. And you guys, you're great board, whatever it is. But it's really the board's there, and what we're doing is helping give direction. But you guys do a great job, right? Like presenting to us, here are the opportunities, here is what it would take. And so really what it is we're being faced with these decisions of, all right, we've got so many hours in a week, we've got so many hours in a month, where is our time best spent for the community, right? Is that an opportunity that we want to put on the back burner because this one's more important to chase? And I think that we do a good job of meeting in our board meetings, meeting outside of our board meetings and discussing that. Does it make sense? Do we need to pivot? So that we can keep chasing things. And
You just mentioned pivoting, and I think that's just really key, is that we're always, we have all these strategic plan and whatever we want to do, what we want our next 5 years to look like, but we're also willing to, jump in and be flexible when things change and the needs change, because we don't know, what bills are going to get passed in the government and what Lilly might offer us, and we have to be willing to move that way.
What our community needs.
Yeah,
at that
and no one's
moment.
afraid to do it. We, like you said, we can put things on the back burner and move to the next thing, because we're not afraid to be flexible and
Always pivoting.
yeah.
yeah,
Of course.
I don't know, that exactly how I feel, right?
Yeah, that's perfect.
But yeah, so I agreed. All right, my first year is going to be learning. I will then learn where can I help out, where could I.
I definitely think it takes about 3 years to
Yeah.
fully understand and grasp everything that's being put forward to you in a meeting. There's financials to look over, and I'm sure the first year you're just like, looks great.
Yeah.
So
And
does the banker say this looks good? That's great.
Yeah.
And that's another reason where I feel like we've got a board.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
Right.
is a
The
diverse
diversity.
board,
Yes.
right, where people know how the schools operate.
Absolutely.
How finances work.
Yeah. Right. 'Cause
Different
not everybody
pieces.
knows that.
Yeah, to where we can lean on our strengths. And it's really fun watching the board, right, when we have our board meetings, jump in, and it's like, yeah, I can tell that person is a retired professional from,
Yeah.
they had an entire career within a school, and they know the questions that I would never think to ask. But yeah, that makes sense.
That's why you have a board.
Yeah, which is great. But yeah, so I took my first 3 years. I'm still taking years to figure it out. But it's really, right, just kind of speaking towards what you guys do, right? Where can we be helpful within the community, and where are we going to be the most helpful? Where are we going to get the most juice out of our squeeze? And so there's been a little transition since I've been on the board, right? Olivia's come on. You were the special projects coordinator. You're now our executive director. But even then, right, it was, we don't have an executive director. We need one. And has anybody ever hired an executive director for the board before? Right. But on Donka's way out, she was really great. She got us in touch with, maybe help me with what the Indiana.
IPA.
Okay, the IPA.
Philanthropy Alliance.
Reach out to this this organization, yes. And Elisa has been great. We've reached out to her multiple times, but it was, hey, we're looking for an executive director. How do we do this? Not only, right, just hire somebody that we think would do good, but how do we actually make this decision?
Yeah.
And so she was very helpful in helping us post the job opportunity for other nonprofit professionals, putting together interview plans. What do you ask? How does this typically work? Helping find the right salary range, which is stuff that we didn't know how to do. And so we did end up on you, Olivia, right? But I think going through that process, I thought we owed that to you as well, right? To where, no, once we get here, it's not, you chose Olivia because Olivia was already working out of the foundation and because it would be easy, but no, we went through the due diligence, right? There was a process, there were multiple interviews. with multiple candidates, and Olivia was the right candidate for the job. And with you coming in, right, it's this whole new thing. There was no longer we could keep doing how did we do it before, but with the new leadership within the foundation, right? Jackie, you were still fairly new.
Yeah.
You weren't here at all
I
yet.
wasn't here.
Right, and then
It was a big transition.
yeah, and so we took that, right, with Candace before she left, just getting some of our standards up to date, right? Here's how we've done things, where are they documented? Okay, they're not documented, let's get them documented. And I think that's been really great. I think where we're at, it's a lot easier to answer questions now when they do come up, not only for the board, but when you guys are bringing something to us, right, you don't just, hey, can we do this? It's, hey, can we do this? This is why we think. And now there's documentation for how we've done it in the past. That's an easy reminder for new board members, right?
Right.
Or people that haven't been around as long to learn from.
I think we've done a good job of educating our board members too, of just, they're not just coming on to just fill a vote, right?
Yes.
I think that we have a really good diverse group, and they're well educated, and if someone stopped them on the street that says, hey, you're part of the foundation, what do you do there? They would be able to answer.
Right.
So
Yeah, and they make cookies and
Yeah.
do all the other
Yeah.
things we need them to do.
That's right.
So,
Yes.
which
Yes.
is nice.
Yes,
They're a
for
very
sure.
active board, so that's
Yes.
good.
Yeah.
How many years have you been on the board now?
Uh,
I'm just trying to think in my head. At least
A
6,
few,
right?
yeah.
Couple
maybe,
rounds
maybe
of the
5.
three.
Yeah.
More than 5, less than 10?
Yeah.
Yeah, there
Something
we
like
go.
that.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Someone asked me that last year. I didn't give them a straight answer, but I was like, it's been like a year or two, and I was like, hold on, wait.
Actually,
No,
yeah.
it's actually been a while. But
It's that COVID math. It
Uh-huh.
really gets
yeah,
in the way.
yeah, everything, it's been really
It's a
fast,
blur.
but also 10 years at
Yeah.
the same time.
Right.
Yeah.
But our board, right, like we operate like the foundation does, where each individual member, hey, here's something that we need from the board, you just kind of see somebody reach in, I can help out with that because I have X experience. And what I found being a part of the board is that's what we need, right? Who's somebody that's willing to step up and do that? And if
Be the president.
yeah, sure, yeah, we'll do it with the president.
Yeah.
But also right, it helps us understand what we need as a board, right? Do we need somebody who is, can be more in the weeds in the financials and give more direction there? Or is it somebody that should be on the personnel committee, right? Like, Michael did this when he stepped in to help, but it was bad. We need somebody in here who can actually do it the right way. But I think that all comes out, and we have our organized meetings where we come in and we talk about those things to make sure that we're putting ourselves in the best spot to succeed.
That's right. Well, thank you for coming on. I'm so glad you're here, because I can feel the passion that you have for this community and the board. And thank you for joining us today.
Yeah.
This was
thanks
great.
thanks for serving on the board.
Yep.
Thanks for
Yeah.
coming.
All the
and-
committees and
Yeah.
getting everything together, and it's been perfect. Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.